The big day has finally arrived, and things are about to get interesting. With the NBA draft happening tonight, not only will teams be welcoming new young talent into their organizations, but I think quite a few big trades will be going down as well to shake up the league. For this video though, we'll be sticking to the draft side of things, as we're here to present our official Draft Day mock draft. This is how I believe this night will go down based on rumors, projections, and fit between the player and the team. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I'd also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. Starting things off with the number 1 pick in the draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Victor Wembanyama from France. There should be zero surprises happening at the top. Wembanyama has been pegged as the prize of this draft for over a year, and throughout the last year he's only strengthened that assertion even further. Wembanyama has an otherworldly combination of size, skill, and versatility both offensively and defensively, and the Spurs are ready to hand him the keys to the kingdom and begin building around him. The Spurs have had success drafting big men number 1 overall, and are hoping that Victor can follow in the footsteps of Tim Duncan and David Robinson. Next up with the second pick, the Charlotte Hornets select Brandon Miller from Alabama. The Hornets will be the determining factor in quite a bit of action that goes down tonight, because a lot of teams have interest in Scoot Henderson, and with the Blazers exploring trades for their number 3 pick, if he isn't picked by the Hornets here, then I think a big trade could go down, and based on what I've seen from reports coming out of Hornets camp, it seems as though they like Miller more than Henderson. They like Miller's fit alongside LaMelo Ball much more as a two-way wing player that D's up and shoots the ball well from deep, which feels like the safe play, because it's hard to imagine a scenario where Miller doesn't find success in their lineup. Next, with the third pick, the Portland Trail Blazers select Scoot Henderson from G League Ignite. As I just said, the Blazers will be a big domino that falls tonight. If they keep the pick, then it seems like Henderson is a lock to be the selection, and even if they trade it, then whoever they trade with will also more than likely be doing so for a chance to draft Henderson. He's reminiscent of guys like Ja Morant, Derrick Rose, and Russell Westbrook as a quick, explosive guard that puts constant pressure on the defense off the dribble, attacking the basket while progressing along as a playmaker, but he does need to continue working on his three-point shot to take his game to the next level. Up next, with the 4th pick, the Houston Rockets select Cason Thompson from Overtime Elite. The Rockets may have been disappointed not to land a top 3 pick, but at number 4, they're still in a good spot to land the best player available, who also happens to fit a need of theirs at point guard. Cason Thompson might be the most athletic player in this year's draft, so placing him alongside Jalen Green in the team's backcourt will be very exciting stuff, but Cason also has solid feel for playmaking and is a more natural passer than Kevin Porter Jr., who the team previously had running point guard. He needs to improve as a shooter, but overall, there's a lot to like in his game. Next, with the 5th pick, the Detroit Pistons select Jarace Walker from Houston. The Pistons have a solid young backcourt duo in Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey, and then they've got a ton of centers vying for minutes as well in their rotation, so bringing in Jarace Walker to play power forward alongside whichever big ultimately wins the job could bring a lot of balance to their lineup. Walker is a strong and versatile defender who can switch onto multiple positions, he's a willing shooter and a sneakily good passer for a big man, and he's got so much room to grow as well. Up next, with the 6th pick, the Orlando Magic select Ausar Thompson from Overtime Elite. The Magic have depth at point guard, on the wings, and at center, so the fact that Ausar Thompson happens to be the best player available here, and he can slot in at their shooting guard spot, makes it a really strong match for the Magic. Ausar, like his brother Cason, is an incredibly impressive athlete, is more of a score-first player though, while still demonstrating a willingness to set up his teammates for good looks when they present themselves, and he's also been a pretty good defensive player to this point in his career, and with good physical tools to work with, the Magic will love that. Next up, with the 7th pick, the Indiana Pacers select Taylor Hendricks from UCF. Taylor Hendricks steadily climbed draft boards this year and is now viewed as the most prototypical 3-and-D player in this year's class. He's a 6'8" wing with a 7'1" wingspan. He's a terrific shooter of the basketball, and he's really smart in how he moves off the ball and gets himself into positions that set himself up for easy looks. The Pacers could use some help defensively, and they also need more shooting, so adding Hendricks checks both of those boxes. Up next, with the 8th pick, the Washington Wizards select Anthony Black from Arkansas. The Wizards are blowing it up this offseason to start fresh, and drafting Anthony Black gives them a good potential floor general to develop throughout this new process. He's a big guard with good size and skill, and he makes those around him better simply by setting them up for good looks and making the right play. Next up, at number 9, the Utah Jazz select Cam Whitmore from Villanova. Whitmore has the ideal physical tools, functional athleticism, defensive potential, and potential to be a very good wing player in the NBA, but recently, teams have reportedly been a bit worried about his medical reports. He did struggle with injuries this past season, but when he returned to the court, he showed off a lot of positives that have had him in the top 10 of mock drafts all year, most of the time higher than this, so we may see him slip a little bit. Up next, with the 10th pick, the Dallas Mavericks select Derek Lively from Duke. The Mavericks are another team in prime contention to trade their pick here, but even if they keep it, Lively is the kind of player they should be targeting. Interior defense was a huge mess for the Mavericks, and Lively is a 7'1" shot blocker with the size and instincts that can easily be tapped into and developed. Lively works well in pick and roll action, which is great with Luka Doncic and potentially Kyrie Irving being there. He's a lob threat, and he's been reportedly killing it in his pre-draft workouts shooting up draft boards. Up next, with the 11th pick, the Orlando Magic select Gradey Dick from Kansas. The Magic ranked near the bottom of the league in three-point shooting, so drafting Dick, who may be the best shooter in the class this year, would be a very strong addition. Since they have 2 lottery picks, they can swing at upside with their first one, which I have them doing with Ausar Thompson, then they can take someone with a solidified skill set that they need here to take advantage of both picks in the best way possible. Next, with the 12th pick, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Bilal Coulibaly from France. Coulibaly is actually a teammate of Victor Wembanyama, and the more that people tuned into games to scout Wembanyama, the more they realized that Bilal was also a standout prospect worthy of lottery hype. He's a long and athletic ball handler and playmaker who is an explosive at-the-rim finisher, and a very instinctual defender who makes things happen on that end of the floor. At 6'7", with a 7'3" wingspan, while still having not even turned 19 years old yet, he's exactly the type of prospect that the Thunder have become synonymous with drafting and developing. Next up, with the 13th pick, the Toronto Raptors select Cason Wallace from Kentucky. The Raptors seem to be starting their rebuild period with Scottie Barnes, their primary youngster, leading the new wave, and if they want to continue to build on their defensive identity, then look no further than Wallace, who may be the best perimeter defender in the draft class. Wallace has been compared to Jrue Holiday because of how he hounds opposing ball handlers, and while he's not quite the offensive threat that Holiday is, he does provide good balance overall in terms of scoring and playmaking. And finally, with the last pick in the lottery, the New Orleans Pelicans select Kobe Bufkin from Michigan. Kobe is another player who has reportedly done very well throughout the pre-draft workout cycle, and as a result of it, he's gained some fans in the lottery range. He gives you scoring, defense, and versatility with room to grow, and his skill set is adaptable in many different situations, making him a likely candidate to sneak into the lottery tonight. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below who you want to see your team draft tonight. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.